Welcome. This is the Public Works Podcast. My name is Joseph Blackman, and today we got a real treat for you. Her name is Kimberly Judge, and she is the city manager of the beautiful city of Dayton in Texas. Kimberly, say what's up to everybody.
What's up, everyone, and good morning, Joseph.
Good morning. Good morning. You got the plants in the background. I love it. It's Monday. It's a good day for both of us. All right, so
Thank
let's dig into Kimberly's story a little bit. We know you're the city manager, but let's talk about your trajectory to how you became the city manager. Let's start in high school. Were you interested in public works then?
Well, this is so funny because it started before high school, to be honest with you. It started
Okay.
because my mom actually worked for the city of Beaumont. And working in the city of Beaumont, she actually was a custodian over there for the city of Beaumont, and she worked at City Hall. And so that way, I feel municipal governing. Yes, you do from the custodian, because they know a lot of information, believe it or not. So she used to come home all the time with all this information, and I listen. And being actually, my mom had 6 kids, and she was a single mom with her 6 kids. And I know, being I'm the second to the oldest, she needed some help. And I remember asking her, "Is there a job I can do?" And she said, "Well, you're kind of young." At the time, I was 14 years old. And she said, "You're kind of young, but let me see what I can do." Everybody respect the custodian because they know they have a lot of information. So she actually went over to HR, and she started questioning them about summer employment for her daughter. And believe it or not, they hired me for a summer job. Summer job actually started working in the parks department. There's a park that's probably like 2 miles from my home. And so it's easy for me to get there. I was a runner. So it was nothing for me to get up in the morning and jog over. And my job duties consist of picking up trash. It was actually mowing underneath the playground equipment that the large tractors and mowers could not get to. So I did those items, and then I would run back home. So I did this all the way till I got to high school. And when I got to high school, I wanted something a little bit different. Okay, I'm done with working in the parks, and I needed something that was full time, and they needed help at the library. So of course, mom had all the ins and outs, and she said, "Hey, they need someone at the library, part time." So I started working in our library, and I worked in the library from my ninth grade all the way to my senior year. So I shelved books, organized shelves, did whatever I had to do there at the library. I left from working for the city of Beaumont and went to college to Prairie A&M University. And like most kids, you get out of college and you say, "What's next?" So I went back to what I knew. I knew everything there was about working for municipal government in my eyes, because I worked in the parks department, I worked in the library. So it's like, okay, what's next? You have a degree. What are you going to do with yourself? And I had been applying at different companies, and I wouldn't get the job. I was like experience straight out of college. And mom said, "Hey, why don't you come back to the city?" "Come back to the city?" "Yeah." "And do what?" And she said, "Well, they need someone in the engineering department to do AutoCAD." I said, "Really?" So there I was back for the city of Beaumont working in engineering planning. And what I was doing was actually mapping out things for the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings, doing things of that nature. Um, Found another position within the city of Beaumont where I used to be engineering technician. And that entailed me working on grants, ICT funding, doing traffic timing signals, getting money for those, things of that nature. I really got involved and started seeing it's a lot to municipal government, a lot. And from that, I started loving it and went back into the planning department as a planning technician. Found a barrier, could not seem to move up within Beaumont because of my degree, and it wasn't in planning, but I loved planning. And I found there's an opening in the city of Baytown, and they needed somebody to come in as also a planning technician. but there was an opportunity for growth. And of course, I went in there, and before you knew it, I went from sending traffic counters out on Garth Road to end up being a planning manager over time, and love working with development. And there I was. So that was
Yeah.
interesting. I wanted to further my career. One thing about me is that I'm a go getter, and it's nothing that I say I cannot do. So when I ran into an issue with the engineer trying to gather information on his development that he was working on, and he wasn't getting response, I decided to be that middle person and go to our engineering department, get the information that was needed, and give it over to development. Help the developer get his job on the way. And in turn, probably 2 years later, that same developer sent me an email. He said, the city of Sealy looking for a planning director. Are you interested in moving? Okay, that's my next step up, right? Planning director. So he said, if you want to, here's the job description. If you like it, apply. I applied for the job, was interviewed, and actually was successful. Ended up being a planning manager, the planning director for the city of Sealy. Worked great being in a small community. You get your hands in a lot working for a small community. You think it's just planning. No, you get to work a lot with the public works, with the engineer, and I loved it. Eventually, I ended up retiring, trying to get back to my mother who was ill, and I came back home. Wasn't home long, and my great friends for Baytown say, "Hey, we know you don't want to retire. Dayton needs a planning director." So I ended up in here, and
Wow.
I've been working here in Dayton 9 years, planning director, public works director, been over the library, parks department, all in one community. And finally, when they
Wow.
needed a city manager, they came to me, a couple of council members, and said they was interested. Why don't I apply if I felt the same? So that's how
Wow.
I got it.
Wow, I love it. I love it. You started off, climbing under playground structures and
Yeah,
but I could tell this planning word, you're attracted to the planning side of things. Why
yeah,
is that? Like some people are attracted to like maintenance, some people are attracted to like, finishing a job, but you like planning. Why is that?
I do. It's such thing as they say, you start at the bottom. So you think of it that way when you're planning. You see the ground roots of how everything began. And it's just the techniques behind it all, starting from the infrastructure, the drainage, the lay of the land, and to actually see the building when it's finally up and you see that certificate of occupancy and this building has been occupied. That that turns me on, okay? I love to see things start to finish. So that's about planning.
Love it. Okay, thanks for that answer. And another thing I wanted to touch on, from what I heard through all your different moves, was the aspect of people, kind of like either tipping you off to something or putting you on to something. And I want to
Correct.
I want to talk more about that because, and the I guess the formal concept is networking, but I can
Yes.
tell that even if somebody knows 150 people, that might
Mhm.
not be a good thing because you might have a bad, bad rap, or you might not do good work. But I can tell that since like let's say 150 people, you do good work. They're throwing all these jobs your way, these positions. Like, hey, Kimberly, have you looked at this or check this out? Well, where do you get that from? Being the go-to girl, the go-to woman for when somebody thinks of a position or something happens, they call you.
It's because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to learn. And in the same time, not being afraid to learn, you have to know how to listen. And one of the things that I do well, I listen. And being not afraid, I'm able to go out there and find an answer. That's one thing about me. I would put my first foot forward, and it's going to be the good one. Now, not everyone like to hear what you have to say, and I had to do some adjustment because being in the field, a lot of people don't like the word no. And then when you start talking about zoning and what you can and cannot do, a lot of times it didn't sit well. But I learned over the years, that's my learning process, that's the way I was presenting the information to the people, is how I was saying no. So I had to rechannel all that and put it more in a positive spin. You can't do this the way the property is currently zoned. However, you may be able to do X, Y, and Z and go for the board and city council versus me just being no. I was very blunt, no. And that was working against me. So I realized if I wanted development to keep coming here or any community I was in, my approach had to be different. So I had to soften that approach and look at the bigger picture of what we're trying to do and make sure in the beginning, if I say no, I'm going to give you any and every way possible for you to proceed if approved by, the people above, the council, the planning and zoning commission. But they start seeing that I'm very I'm gonna help you throughout the process. That's who I am. I want to take you from the beginning to the end. And that's my drive. If I can help somebody, then I'm gonna do it. And I think it comes
Gotcha.
across.
Gotcha. And answer this because this is kind of new to me, and I'm curious: is the city manager position, is that usually the next step in the trajectory from like a public works director?
Well, I've seen city managers come from different areas of municipal government, even outside of municipal government. So I don't think
Really?
that's necessarily a certain projection.
Okay.
You go from public works to city manager.
Okay. Okay. And then talk about what the relationship, because having been a public works director, you learn everything, and having been in public works and parks, and you kind of work your way through it and up it. How has that helped you with being a city manager, with being
Okay.
kind of the ops person for the city?
And the great thing, I'm glad you asked that question because I was never hired in a position as public works director. I happened to get into public works because of my knowledge. And when I never would say no, I can't do anything. And I learned to listen to those that know. So I had several people in public works that I would listen to and allow to mentor me to learn various different things and how lift stations work, how the well works. I didn't know this information, so I had to start asking and inquiring, how do this operate? What this lift station? Man, we got 18 of them. Why we need so many? So I had to start asking questions about it. But so here I am in public works because they were in between public works director. And so they said, well, we don't have anyone. We need someone to be over public works. The city manager is like, that's not my job. I need someone to be over public works. Kimberly, you seem to have the answers. Will you be over public works now? I said, in planning both at the same time? It was like, yes. I was like, okay, I can handle this. What made it work is the people that work underneath me. It's going to be my supervisors in the street, my supervisor in public works department that's over utilities. I count on those individuals who have all the knowledge and the training in order to help me succeed in those areas. So without having that one-on-one in public works, I had the staff support behind me to make it happen. But you have to know what you're doing because people got to be able to flush. They need water, clean water. So I didn't know it. I didn't have all the answers, but I relied on staff. I don't know if that helped in answering your question.
No, no, that helped. Sorry, I thought you were a public works director, but that clarifies it up. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
And then it also clarifies how you can be successful as a city manager, with kind of piecing together knowledge, but then relying on your team, on your support staff
It's,
for
it's,
that,
that's correct.
which for a lot of leaders is kind of hard because when you're a leader, you got this ego, like I know everything. I'm not going to ask you mortals for information, but you put your
You,
ego aside.
yeah, you can do that because, one of the biggest things I've learned is you have to be humble in this whole process. I mean, it goes back to being a servant leader. You in the community and you serving everybody in this community. So you have to rely on not just yourself, everybody, even your citizens, because we don't see everything. I don't see every pothole. I don't see where you had a sewer line collapse in front of your home. You do. So I need you to communicate this with me. Go ahead and call in the ticket and say you see this issue. You might not know exactly what it is. By giving me that there's something going on, we can send the right team out there to check it out.
Gotcha. Love it. Love it. All right. So let's say you're mentoring young Kimberly, and young Kimberly comes to you and is like, "Hey, more seasoned Kimberly, what skill set should I pick up to be successful as a city manager?" What would you tell young Kimberly to be good at? What skill set?
To communicate, to be able to communicate, and that comes listening. Number one thing, you have to listen. And you said you don't know everything, right? So you're going to have to listen, be able to take criticism as well, be able to make mistakes. That's the thing. A lot of people think it's a certain skill set outside of the human being that you have to have. But you're blessed with everything. You got a voice, you have ears, you can hear. So if you sit back, you communicate, and you listen, you learn a lot. Your degree might not be in a certain field, but all the knowledge you need is right there.
Love it. Love it. All right. So I need a story from it. Story time. I need a
Okay.
story of when something went wrong under your watch, what you did to fix it, and then what lessons you learned from it to apply to your future career.
I will tell you about something that happened recently. It was a Friday night, and I remember getting a phone call. We didn't have a city manager at this time. I was over public works and planning, and I get a phone call. I said, we got a major water leak, a major intersection on a Friday evening. It's right about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I said, what? Yes. And we had guys walk off. Then they had plans for the weekend. I'm like, no way. It is the person who called me was our administrative support. And I said, okay, April, we got something we got to do. We got to handle the problem. I said, are you up for it? She said, yes, ma'am. I said, meet me at this location. So her and I struck out, said, bring your hard hat and your vest. So what we needed was we needed additional staff. It's it's to a point right now, I need all hands on deck. So her and I, we had our safety gear on, and we said, "These two guys flagging. We don't need you to flag anymore. We got you. We need you down in the hole because it come to find out, it wasn't just a water line; it was a major sewer line that had collapsed in a major intersection. We had police. Our police department was out on various different calls. We didn't have no one out there to help us with traffic. We had what is a volunteer fire department. So we called the volunteer fire department. Thank God for volunteer fire department, at least our volunteer fire department, because they came out ready. You hear me? And it was perfect because they had the fire trucks, so you had the lights, people couldn't see them. They came equipped to flag. With them coming equipped to flag, they gave April now opportunity to go and be the runner. Here we are now. It's at 10 o'clock at night. We have to feed these guys. So we're able to go out and get food for them. We was able to get things ready for the next shift that was going to come and help. When I say next shift, it's like giving the guys just a break, the ones that's out there, the next one break and so forth. But we got it fixed. And we got it fixed because of teamwork. The problem it is sometimes in municipalities, our budgets are so tight that we have to cut staff. And as you know, when you sit there, you talking about somebody going 15, 14 feet deep in a hole, the amount of staff, because a lot of people say, well, why do you need so many people out there standing around? They're just not standing around. A lot of these people are there for safety. Some of them over there that may get a ladder or get a tool, something the person that's down in that hole may need. The people in the hole, they got to get up. They need a break for being down in water and sewage. So it's things that a lot of folks don't understand, but it's that team environment that you need. So what I learned from this incident is that I had to make sure I have the right mindset in my team. When you have people walking off a job, you don't walk off a job. There must be a problem somewhere because this is an important task. And it's a safety issue as well. With the amount of traffic we had, how deep they had to go down in a hole. So therefore, I had to develop the mindset, the culture that was needed to make sure that I had staff available and willing. So we overcome
Yeah.
that, and I have a good department right now, and they're doing a outstanding job. And we just have to develop the right culture and keep it there to keep them here.
Yeah. Yeah. Because You could have developed a culture of like, oh well, it's Friday, we'll figure it out Monday. Just send Johnny out there and see what he can do with it. Report back to me, Johnny. Just figure it out.
Exactly.
And then that would have set the precedent moving forward. They're like, oh, Kimberly doesn't really care. She's going to get her new plant this weekend, so she don't
Yes,
care.
but Kimberly was out there with them all. I said, "We got to get this done,
Nice.
today, guys," and we did.
Nice. Nice. That's good. That's good. All right. So what do you do to keep your sword sharp? What do you do to keep learning and getting better year after year, month after month, week after week? Like what's your professional and personal development regimen like?
I don't have one, honestly. I've said all those things. I just keep listening. I keep trying. I make mistakes. I learn from my mistakes, and I keep moving. The same thing in my personal life. I take care of everybody. um, I have a nephew, a grandson that lives with me and my husband, and I let them all know that we are humans. No one's perfect. So it's an opportunity every day to learn. And we need y'all to do that. It's nothing too big or too small for me to handle. I keep that mindset and I keep moving. The only thing I need to
Yeah.
learn how to do sometimes is take time for me. He tells me that all the time. So
Yeah, yeah, good for you. Good that you're conscious enough to know when you need to take time for yourself. I mean, some of us we can get so wrapped up into work and life. We're like, man, I haven't took a vacation in 4 years, or. So
no, I take vacation
yeah.
2 to 3 years.
All right, let's say we ask your nephew, like, hey, what does Kimberly do all day, every day for the city? Like, what would he get totally wrong and answer that question? Like, what's some of the biggest misconceptions about your city
Oh,
manager position?
a lot of times, the people who don't know, they think the city manager sit in the office all day. She sit in the office and she take complaints all day. It's what she does. And my nephew probably would tell you that too, but it's not the case. Oh, the city manager is so rounded. That city manager, like I said, it's not just you taking complaints, you out in the field making sure things are getting done. You go in a meeting with various different people, developers, citizens. You attending meetings. So, and it's not an 8 to 5. A lot of people assume that the city manager job is 8 to 5. It is not. I remember one night, and I will not say this person's name. It was 9:30. I'm an early bird, okay? I go to bed early. My phone went off. I just got in bed, and my phone went off. Said, "Hey, are you up?" It was 9:30. I decided, okay, it's your bedtime. Cut it off, Kim. Do not respond. I didn't respond. I woke up at my normal time at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I responded to the text. I said, "Hey, I'm up. Are you?"
Ah,
Of course, I didn't get a response.
yeah, I know.
I didn't get a response to that. But that's just to say my job doesn't end at 5 o'clock. It doesn't end on Friday at 5 o'clock. It's constant. And I'm the type of person I don't put it off. I'm gonna answer you if I can, but not at 9:30. Keep that in mind, folks that's listening. Have a cutoff.
Yes. So what would you say as a city manager? Like what keeps a city manager awake at night? Like let's say it's 9:50 and you're still staring at the ceiling. Like what work wise is I guess pressing that would keep you awake?
The biggest thing for me is making sure that our citizens is taken care of. If I know that I've received a complaint and I didn't have a crew to go out there and address it immediately, that keeps me up. I think about it. Strategizing, I've learned to start using my cell phone and taking notes as I think about things that I can handle or take care of, how we can proceed. I'm taking notes, putting it in my phone. Citizens is my number one priority. So I have to make sure that they're taken care of. And at the moment when I can't take care of them right then and there, it stays on my mind until I can make sure that I can address it.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right, let's say Kimberly is commissioned to put up a billboard, and this billboard is in the most trafficked area of Dayton. What ask of your community would you want to put on this billboard?
Embrace the change.
Embrace. You got to go deeper into that.
I think you say that. So everyone, Dayton, Texas is a small community, population about 9,700 people at this moment.
That okay.
9,700. I would say in 2010 was about 7,000. Right now, we have about 6,000 residential lots. So if you look at that, that's going to be another about 16,000 people added to that 9,000 in the next 5 years. So we're not going to be that small community. I hear a lot. I want to keep Dayton the way it is. You're not going to ready to keep Dayton a small town. That's not going to happen. So you just need to embrace the change. Currently, we have, I say, a small town feel, but with a big Houston traffic problem. We got major corridors that's running through our community. We say all roads lead to Dayton because it does. You can be south, headed at 146 from Baytown, Mount Fairview. It leads to Dayton. You can be on Highway 90, traveling east and west from Beaumont, Louisiana, from Houston. All roads lead to Dayton. You can be north to Cleveland, the Woodlands, and come down 321. It's going to lead you to Dayton. So we have all this traffic, and a lot of it's commute traffic. So the change is here. So we have to learn to just embrace that change. It's no such thing as I don't want it anymore. It's here. One of the things that caused this is, I'm going to say two things. One is the population overcrowding of Houston and people moving toward the east where we have plenty of land. Secondly, we had a completion of a major corridor that's the outer ring of Houston, Highway 99 to Grand Parkway. That segment just completed in Dayton. So now with 99 open, you can get anywhere you want to in like 30 to 45 minutes as it relates to Houston and surrounding area, just here in Dayton. So the change is already here. We have to embrace it.
Wow, wow. So you said X amount of homes are going to be built in the next 5 years.
Yes.
And would you say that that's people leaving the Houston area to stay in Dayton to still work in Houston? Like, well, they call them
Yes.
commuter cities.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is what
I
I
guess what go ahead.
Okay, so when I was in the planning department, I started seeing so many builders come in, people pulling permits. So I started asking, telling the permit tech, find out where these people are coming from. Are they just locals that's maybe moving up? What's going on? Moving out their starter homes now? What's happening? And we found a lot of people are coming from various different places, not just Houston. We have people moving in from Austin, from California. With different people just wanted to relocate. Remember what I said, Dayton have a lot of land and we're so big and we have room for growth. And people are seizing that opportunity. Here's an opportunity to get out of the everyday hustle and bustle of traffic and just going where when we get off work on the weekend, we want to relax and chill. We got a great spot to do that where we got plenty of land and space. And it's Dayton, Texas.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Did you see like an uptick during COVID? Because a lot of people left, the downtown areas or the big metropolitan areas for smaller towns because they could work remote. With COVID, did you see an uptick or any change in that
I,
regard?
I had already begun before COVID, so it's hard to tell if it played a part in it or not. Yes.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Well, I always like to leave a space on the show for you to thank mentors that you had along your journey, and then also offer up a word of inspiration and motivation to your
Uh-oh.
industry city manager counterparts.
Well, the thing about it, my mother is no longer here, but I will to tell you, Maxine Savoy, or Maxine Toussaint Savoy, played a very important role in my life. As you know, she got me started in municipal government. Another big person that I have to mention is Chris Kaufman. Believe it or not, Chris, hello. Chris taught me humility and how to humble myself. He really did, and I appreciate him doing that. You know, a lot of times working in the field, you get so caught up in, especially with me, I gained so much knowledge and I knew so much. I was unstoppable. But he taught me it's okay to know these things, but you need to humble yourself in the process. And he taught me a valuable lesson that I would always remember. And I use that today in mentoring folks. And I tell them the biggest thing you can do is stay humble. Know your beginnings, know where you come from, humble yourself. And I'm very grateful for that. He did an awesome job in teaching me that. Thank you, Chris. And I just want to just thank my family, period, because they've been my biggest supporters. um, as I told you before, I try my best to do I can to help everyone, help young folks. That's one of my biggest things because they are, you know, you hear it, not just cliche, but they are our future, the young folks. So whatever I can do to inspire them, to motivate them, I'm going to do it. My doors are always open. And I'm just want to leave a word out to those young folks to never give up, to keep pushing, to keep trying. If you see an obstacle, find out how you go across or go under that obstacle to get where you want to go. But there's nothing wrong for asking for help. A lot of folks these days don't want
Yeah.
to do that. Ask for help. If you get to a stumbling block, do that. But Dayton is on the move, people. Listen to me, Dayton, Texas. We're on the move. If you want to find out anything else about us, we have up on our website. You can go to Dayton, City of Dayton, tx.org, and learn more about our community. And we got plenty of
Love
land out here, so bring your development on.
it. Love it. Let's say I'm coming to Dayton and I text you ahead of time. I'm like, hey, Kimberly, where can I go to get the best burger in Dayton? Where are you going to send me?
I'm gonna send you. I ain't gonna send you. I'm gonna take you with me. First of all, we're gonna go over to Country Kitchen. It's in our
Okay.
downtown area. It's a mom and pop type restaurant. Most people gather there for breakfast. We go there for lunch, but it's actually called Country Kitchen, and it's on Main Street downtown. Dayton.
Okay. All right. Country Kitchen it is. Kimberly, thanks for hopping on the show. Thanks for sharing your wealth of information and knowledge with us. To all the listeners out there, make sure you share this with somebody who you think needs to hear it. Like she said, Dayton is on the move. she's
Yes,
got
we are.
she's got plenty of land for the developers. She's looking to get some more of that revenue, get some more employees, some more help around there. I'm sure with growth.
Yes.
And yeah, Dayton is on the move. Kimberly, any final words before we get out of here?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity,
You're welcome.
Joseph. It's a great platform. And I was very shocked when I got your message. And once I looked at the other podcast, and I said, this is a great opportunity. And again, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Well, Kimberly, once again, thanks for hopping on. This has been the Public Works Podcast, and thanks for tuning in.
You're welcome. Thank you.